What's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to tell you 4 of the basic rules of significant figures. So when we're taking measurements, maybe it's like with a ruler, or maybe you're using your iPhone and you're using like the measurement app, there's always going to be some kind of degree of uncertainty, right? Because we can only be so specific with our measurements. Maybe you're using your ruler and something's like 5 point something millimeters. You don't actually know just how specific and how small that number goes down to. And that's what significant figures are. So where significant figures really helps us is when we want to measure something, but we don't know exactly how small we can make that number. So rule number 1, all non-zero digits are significant. And luckily for us, that's a pretty easy one to remember, right? Because if you just see a digit that's not a 0, you count that as one of the significant figures. So let's take a look at some examples. Say we have 3,568. How many non-zero digits are there? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 significant figures. It's that easy. Let's say I have 123. Right, I would have 3 significant figures. And I can play this game all day. As long as I have some non-zero digit numbers, I'm gonna count those as significant figures, okay? So for our second rule, any zeros that are in between non-zero numbers or digits are gonna be considered significant. For example, 1,001. I have my 2 non-zero digit numbers, my 2 ones at the ends, and also my zeros that are in between my non-zero digits. So here I have a 4 significant figure value, okay? Let's take a look at another example. Let's take 10,023. So I have 3 non-zero digits, 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. Then I also have my 2 zeros that are in between my non-zero digits, right here and right here. So in total, this would be a 5 significant figure number. Just like that. Now for our third rule, and this one's a little bit of a mouthful, zeros that are to the left of non-zero digits in the first one, the first non-zero digit, are considered not significant. That sounds pretty complicated, but let me just show you an example to make it a little bit more simple. Let's take 0.0023. Okay, so I have 0.0023. So again, zeros to the left of the first non-zero digit are not significant. So let's think about the rules that we already covered. Any non-zero digit is considered significant. So I have a 2 and I have a 3. Those are going to be considered significant. However, the first one here is a 2. And so that I have all these zeros here, 3 zeros to be specific, that are to the left of my first non-zero digit. And these are not going to be considered significant. So anything to the left like that is not significant. Any non-zero digit is significant. So I have 2 non-zero digits right here, 1 and 2. So this is a 2 significant figure number. How about 0.044? Okay, actually, let me add on to that. 3201. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-zero digit numbers. I also have this 0 that is in between 2 non-zero digits. So that's still counted. That's our second rule. So I have in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 significant figures. And I also have these to the left of that first non-zero digit. So these 2 zeros right here are not going to count, but these ones over here will. So this right here is going to be a 6 significant figures. So for our fourth rule, any zeros that are placed after other digits, but they're to the right of the decimal point, those are considered significant. So what does that mean? Let's take a look. So here I have 0.200. Okay, so I have 1 non-zero digit, and that's going to be my 2 here. So there's my 1 digit. 2 is also my first non-zero digit, so anything to the left of that, any 0 to the left of that is not considered significant. So I have a 0 here, right to the left of my first non-zero digit, so this is not going to count towards my significant figures. However, I have 2 zeros that follow the 2 that are to the right of the decimal place, and that's very, very important. So I have point, decimal place, 2, a non-zero digit, followed by 0, 0. 2 zeros to the right of my other digit and to the right of the decimal place. So those count as significant figures. So this has 3 significant figures. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say we have 0.003100. Okay, so let's take a look at this using the rules that we've already gone over. So how many non-zero digits do we have? Well, we have a 3 and we have a 1. So we have 2 non-zero digits. Okay, I notice that all of these are zeros and they are to the left of my 3, my first non-zero digit. So these are not going to count towards my significant figure count. I'm going to have this one, and then since these are to the right of my last digit and they're also to the right of the decimal point, they will count. Okay, so in this number right here, we're going to have 4 significant figures. And you can think of these as just being placeholders, right? So think of this as, let's start over here. Let's say 0.2. Well, just think of this as a really specific measurement. It's 0.200. It means that whatever we're measuring, we know the value of the hundredths and the thousandths place. They just happen to be 0 in this case. And same thing over here. We have 0.003100. What we're saying is, hey, we can measure the value of these 2 decimal places, but they just happen to be 0 in our measurement. So in this case, when we have 0.003100, we're going to have 4 significant figures. So there you have it, 4 rules for significant figures. And what the IB is typically going to ask you is to give your answers to 3 significant figures. So no matter what you're calculating or what you're getting on your calculator or graphs or intersections or whatever it happens to be, as long as you can give that answer to 3 significant figures using these 4 rules, you'll be just fine on the IB exam.